It's like the same program, Sully Hair 2.0 or something, you know.
That's cool.
Speaking of Sully, we're
Ah.
back to not necessarily a sequel, but a prequel, but same storyline with Monsters University next year.
So is this? Did Pete Docter do this one?
No, he did not. They got another unknown, Dan Scallion. I'm trying to see. It doesn't look like he's worked on any of the other movies before.
But this falls into the same category as the Dory. Just make them younger and cuter as little kids.
It works.
Yeah.
Baby Mike Wazowski. Oh my god!
And you didn't finish watching Monsters.
I watched the first 10 minutes and I was already in love.
Before he's like, "Don't call me Karen."
Yeah, that part was great. But he's like, no, it's cool. Like he's that kid that is no one. He gets picked last, but he's like cool with it. But on the outside, I'm imagining throughout the movie, there's some like.
Well, I love Baby Mike Wazowski because I'm like, man,
adorable.
that was like me as a kid. I was like, okay, like I don't got somebody, for this field trip, but it's cool.
I'll do my
Whatever.
own thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love him. So cute.
This is another one. It's definitely it's a college movie.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Thinking
that's
like
the feeling.
Monster House and all
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Animal House.
Animal House. Yeah.
That's great.
Monster House.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I want to see Monster House.
Yeah, right. But it definitely it's a good movie. It's not as good as Monsters Inc.
I have a question. At the end of this movie, did they actually do the Animal House thing? Where like, okay, at the end of Animal House, I don't know if you guys remember this,
been
but
a
they
long time.
they cut to each character and then they pause and then they show like a text like, oh, he went on to
No.
own a
No, they
Fortune
don't.
5. Okay,
No.
that would have been too much. That would have been hilarious. Like Sully goes on to become, and then it would have been great. But
They do show like how like well, I don't want to spoil it, but
Don't spoil it, but-
they do show about Mike and Sully.
become friends, and they probably weren't friends at
So-
first, and he was mean to
Exactly.
him, and then he
Yeah.
learns the power of being a good friend, even to
There
the.
you go.
I know what these movies do.
Cookie cutter,
I
man.
know. Well, it's not cookie cutter, but it's it's one of those things. Like these ideas are not new.
Yeah.
These are, but it's the execution of them in such a streamlined and such a laser focused like. You know what the cool part about that, learning that story, that, fish out of water or taking the wisdom of your parents, like what is that really about? What is the essence? What is the boiled down make you eat this, it's amazing. So I know that movie's good, but within the first 5 minutes I was dying laughing. Now the reason I didn't finish this, I was watching it with my wife. And I'm like, oh, Monsters University. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. Look at little Mike Wazowski. He's just like and she's like, oh, I never saw Monsters Inc. And I was like, okay, pause,
let's go back,
let's
yeah.
go watch Monsters Inc. Because I was like, first of all, I know Monsters Inc. is probably better than this.
It is.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm sure there's
a
some
different movie, though, but
I'm
yeah.
sure there's some callback jokes, and I was like, you need to see it in
Yeah,
its
I'm not going to
release.
spoil the best callback joke, and even that's in one of the beginning parts of the movie. But there's a good message about this movie too. Is like he's obviously part of the school to be a monster or a scarer.
Yeah, scary.
He's not very scary,
Right, of course.
So they do these challenges and stuff to see that. But he joins this fraternity, and what's the fraternity called? Is it Omma Kappa?
Uzma Kappa.
Uzma Kappa. And it's like their message is like, we're okay.
Yeah, and they're shouting, "We're okay."
I already got it when you
We're
said
okay.
Omega
Yeah,
Kappa
everyone in
or
the
whatever.
fraternity are just like him, where it's like we're not the scariest of monsters, but we're doing our best.
They're
So
Rudy.
it's kinda-
They're
yeah.
Rudy, right? They're trying. They're doing everything they can.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that message.
Is there a montage in this movie? Please tell me there's like an
I think
awesome,
there is, right?
awesome montage of
him
like.
studying stuff? There's
Yeah,
a
him
montage, right?
studying.
Love it. Okay.
But yeah, it's very good. It's that message of like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be the best. You're okay, and you can do
Yeah.
You can do
plenty
good
with
things.
that. Yeah.
You can do good things.
Yeah,
You don't
I
have to be
wish
the.
I got to go to Monsters University. I want to be in a scare school. What is this? What is this real life?
Yeah,
You can't be
exactly.
scary.
Let me apply, please.
Yeah. But I think this one, again, got kind of, obviously because it's a or a prequel or whatever you want to call it.
But a lot of people, I think, compared it to Monsters Inc. So it's got 78% of Rotten Tomatoes.
That's a
Not
great
bad,
movie.
certified fresh. But it budget $200 million. It made $743.6.
So it made a lot of money.
Yeah, so good success there.
Well,
I know
I think
we
it-
went to go see that when it opened. So.
I think Monsters University, I mean, Monsters Inc. is so good. Like I said,
It
I
is.
just watched it again. Holy moly. They changed some stuff. There's a couple things that they actually changed.
What?
Yeah. It's very subtle things. You know the part when the sock lands on him? There's a part where it says contamination alert on originally, and I think the later ones there's no text. It's just like a picture of a sock and like an exclamation point over it, because I think they probably, for purposes of translation,
Oh, that's weird.
going to like
Maybe
different-
on the Blu-ray version they changed.
yeah,
some
that's
of that
why I
stuff.
watched the Blu-ray version. So it's because I remember it saying because again I've seen that scene more times than probably the people who work at Pixar. So I know that it said contamination alert. But I'm sure for purposes of these movies translating to other countries, they were just like, make it a symbol. It makes more sense.
Well, yeah, especially when you're animating these scenes. It takes hours to render these things.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Monsters University, they take 2 years off, right? 2 years
Yeah,
before.
2 years before Inside Out, and Inside Out I feel like was in production for a long
Oh my
time.
God.
It was in production for like 5 years.
This is Up 2. This is the sequel to Up, but it's not Up. I think so. It picks on the same freaking beats, almost. Not in a. It's not obviously the same story. It's not, but it's about like.
It's about life.
It's about the dark moments of your life and why they're important and why it's. This movie. This movie.
Do you get emotional in this movie, David?
I got emotional in this movie.
Weird.
It's the very end of the movie. It's the very end of the movie where the mixed memories of like you had a sad memory when you were a kid, but then as you grow up, you realize you take because as a kid, you know, as a kid you don't have the cognitive ability to understand the weight of situations, and that's why like when something dramatic happens to you, you remember it as that was scary or that was sad or someone died and it was frustrating and upsetting. But then you realize later on when you grow older, like that death meant something. That, you know, the idea.
You learn about.
I swear to God, these movies. I shouldn't have these conversations about cartoons. But it's
looking at the silver lining, even in like the sad and
how
negative things. It's looking at the positive and everything.
And how you, when you grow up, the things that, you know, you look at things in a different light. And it's almost a reflection of these movies. It's kind of meta because, you know, I watched Toy Story as like young David and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like little, you know, and then I watched it again. And I'm like, you were hiding so many things.
You sneaky bastard.
Exactly.
But that's what's great about these Pixar movies is that
they're
like
for
yes,
everybody. Like,
we saw them when we were little, but there's so much more to them when you see them again and again
Right.
and again and again. You catch on to things that you didn't even notice the first time around, and that's what's amazing about these movies is that there's always something else that you're learning, no matter what number it is that you've seen the movie.
Exactly.
And that's what makes them like amazing.
The voice casting in this movie is probably
Perfect.
one of the best of any Pixar movie. I mean, like, literally, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked anybody. Like,
yeah, Louis Black's
Louis
anger
Black is anger
like,
is like, yep,
obvious.
done.
Yeah.
That's like
He
Professor
doesn't even
X.
have to get into that mindset. He's like, oh, this is me. All normally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did like the 3-year-old. They just followed him around. They didn't even have to get him in a booth. That's how he talks.
You know, and Joy as Amy Poehler.
Perfect.
And
After seeing Parks and
Sadness
Recreation, it's like
as
the same.
Phyllis from The Office.
Yeah.
Amazing. Mindy Kaling as Disgust. Like, how is that any more perfect? I know when they wanted to ask her to do it, they brought her the script, and she didn't even know that they were going to ask her. Like, she just thought they were asking her to read the script, and so she was like crying.
She's a writer. She also does writing. So that makes sense.
So she was like reading it, and she was crying, and then they were like, she was like, "This is amazing! Like, this is the most amazing script I've ever read." And they were like, "Okay, will you do it?" And she was like, "What?" And they're like, "Will you
awesome.
play Disgust?" And she was like, "Yes!" Like,
She was like, maybe?
yeah.
That's what she should have said. And then Bill Hader as Fear is, it's just, now Bill Hader's kind of known. He was in Finding Dory. He had a little cameo in there. He was anyways.
Where?
At the very beginning. He's the husband. That's Bill Hader. I know Bill Hader's voice, like, he's, yeah.
Whose husband?
At the very beginning when Dory's lost and she's like, will you help me find me? And it's the wife and the husband. That's
okay.
Bill Hader's
Really?
voice. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why she's like, you won't help us. Anyways, Bill Hader does a lot of voices, but this one, I mean, he does a lot of voice acting, and for me, it picks up. He does a lot of South Park stuff and stuff like that. But he's just perfect in this movie. Like, and it's, you know, you were a teen and you were a jerk to your parents, and the way you're, you know, and moving that scene of leaving. I did this a lot because I moved when I was, I think, in 4th grade.
From Texas, right?
Yeah, from Texas, and all my friends, and I went to this new place, and I was weird. I was that kid, the new kid, and then it got even. I moved when I was in 6th grade. I switched schools in the middle of 6th grade. Now, funny,
that's the worst.
Yeah, in the middle of it, right? So it wasn't even like these kids all had established relationships, and like I'm coming in halfway, which you can play 2 ways. This is the same thing. Now I played it as like. You can reinvent yourself, David. You could be way cooler.
Did you start the first day by biting the strongest kid you can find?
No, but I definitely tried to play like, you know, darker David, like the Tobey Maguire from
He was suspended from his last school, so he has to come here.
Exactly. No, but I think what ended up happening, me trying to be cool, and that's what this movie's about, is like, don't be
First day wet leather jacket.
Yeah, you're cool. Yeah, exactly. All leather. And it's like, whoa. But no, it's one of those things where it's just like, you know, even being the cool kid is not being the cool kid. You know what I mean? Being yourself. That's the whole point of this movie. And like the parents in this movie are so supportive, and it's just like, and just that last part when it changes where it's replaying the emotion. It's like, oh, she sees this in that emotion, in that memory. And it's just like, and it's so clever. The abstract area, the abstract thought, and like
No, I was gonna say
my beautiful
a lot
face.
Of things. A lot of things in this movie are like just adults to understand. Like when the dad's like not paying attention and he's like watching a game or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like she's dreaming of like, oh, that massage
That
guy.
helicopter guy.
Yeah, the helicopter pilot and the abstract thought. I mean,
that's one of the
kids don't
best scenes.
understand.
The abstract thought, and then like the train of thought.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
It's it's so perfect. It's one of those things. I said whenever I don't know good ideas, but I know a good idea when I hear it and I go, that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's that simple, you idiot. Like, that's the whole point, is like, it's.
We don't need to remember these phone numbers. When are we going to call this person again? Suck them all up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the commercial one that they replay all the time. They're like, that
The
one's
gum
great.
commercial?
We'd love to send that one up to headquarters.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all the emotions are like, no, not this again.
Sometimes we just set it up there from time to time,
Yeah.
just keep it on our toes. Yeah, so many things are just so relatable, and obviously that's just kind of the thing with Pixar, is like anyone can relate to any of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone's gone through, like I said, some type of one. You've had all of these emotions at one point in time, and it's about like, I like the idea of like, no, I'm in charge. Like, anger's in charge. So every decision we're gonna make is gonna be irrational, and everybody's had that. And then you look back and you're like, what was wrong with me? And it's just like, this is it. This is the whole point. But yeah, it's just,
Of course, they got the Pixar sad moment.
Yep.
Who's the guy that likes to play
Bing bong,
bing bong?
Oh, and he just
Moment of sadness for Bing
gets
Bong.
her over, and then has to
And then he
that's another
disappears.
moment. Like we've all
had
I don't know if I've had any
imaginary friends.
Yeah, I don't think
but-
I had any imaginary friends, but I definitely had like I don't know, stuff as a kid that you don't have as an adult anymore. So.
Right. Well, it's just it's becoming an adult,
Yeah,
right? Growing up, and you can't do, and that's why, like, not to get like political, but like, we need to let kids be kids, man. We need to let kids like not have as much homework and just have fun. Because like, guess what? For the most part, like I would say like being an adult's a cool thing because you can go in a candy store and you can buy all the candy you want.
Oh, yeah.
There's some great things about being adult, but there's some crappy things about being adult. And this movie shows me like, as a kid, like you shouldn't want to grow up so fast. Like, because when you're a kid, all you want to do is grow up fast, right? You want to be an adult, you want to drive, you want to be able to drink, you want to do all these great
I tell
things.
Sarah this, like our girls growing up, our goddaughters is the same thing. Like the first thing they want to do as a little kid is like take care of a baby. It's like, no, don't put the doll down.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't change a baby's or a doll's
Well,
diaper, all that stuff.
they're trying to imitate adults, right?
No, I know, but it's like,
what you got.
don't imitate adults. Being adults
We suck.
sucks sometimes, man.
Yeah, and
Or
that's
like her Barbies. One time they were playing, and
Yeah, we were playing Barbies.
Gerald and her were playing Barbies, and every time was let's get married, and Gerald was like, no,
Whoa, let's go on a date
Yeah,
first,
let's be in
Mariah.
a
All right,
long-term
come
relationship
on.
That's
before
awesome.
we even talk about getting married. And
I'm afraid
it's
of
so
commitment.
funny.
All right, let's
Yeah.
set up for that.
So again, Inside Out, great. I love even just the little things like the whole hockey thing, and she's from is it Wisconsin,
Minnesota or
yeah,
something like
Minnesota, and they play up that a little bit, and they move to San Francisco, and it's like, oh, the food's weird here, like
Yeah.
fish out of water, like they nail that because that's what she has when she goes and plays. She's treated differently from all her friends. It's just, and she's doing like the FaceTime thing, but that doesn't work, and she's a jerk to her friends. It's just perfect. It even fits like the time frame of like what's going on, like how people can connect now that they couldn't before. So
The fact that the Dream Factory is SNL.
That's
Genius.
pretty great. Yeah.
Genius.
yeah,
That's pretty great.
It's literally SNL.
it's
Yeah.
so
I love
good.
it.
So good.
When they were talking about making this movie, they said it was one of the more difficult movies to make because they had to make up all this. They had to make up like, what does this look like? What does that look like? Like, there's no frame of reference.
It's not
for
a
it.
it's not a kid's room, right?
Yeah.
It's not a toy chest. It's not Scotland. It's just what's in your head.
Yeah,
But they nail it.
yeah.
And
when-
they
do an amazing
nail it,
job.
David. They do nail it. 98%. They are back to form now. Back to normal Pixar. $175 million budget, $857.4 million made.
And
at
I
the box
definitely
office.
feel like this movie had crazy word of mouth because of, I think it was just how relatable it was generally. So
I think a lot of for this movie too, though, it was a lot about who the voice actors were. They
Hmm.
did a lot of promoting for this movie as the voice actors. So I thought
So
that
do you
was
think
pretty cool.
taking that year off really helped them?
Yes.
Like, do you think that was a big part of
well,
how
I think
why this movie was so
let's
successful?
you know what's actually kind of funny? They were probably like, why aren't we getting 90s? It's like that kid in school that gets straight A's and then he gets like an A minus. He's like, what the hell?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's back to form. It's 80-something% versus the 70-something%.
Well, it's sad to say. It's sad when you're like, oh, Pixar's back to form. It's like nobody's form should be 98s and 99s on an aggregate for with people who are contrarian on the internet. Like, if you get a 78, like bravo, like
yeah,
great
for
movie.
other companies, but when you're used to getting 90-something%.
Well, that's my point. Like, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
trying to say. Like, Pixar only does this to themselves, unfortunately, but good for them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, yeah, absolutely. So then the next movie after Inside Out,
And this came out the same year.
It did?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yep, it did.
So they took a year off, but then they made 2 movies in the same year?
Yeah, June and then November.
We gotta
Okay.
remember,
November was,
there's
Good
different
Dinosaur.
teams.